Merci donc aux moniales de nous offrir ce témoignage et surtout de porter en prière nos différents travaux et les rencontres que nous aurons à faire. Le choix de ce lieu n'est pas anodin, surtout un mois après l'élection de la 3e abbesse de ce monastère. Donc, elle a été élue il y a un mois et on peut considérer que cette rencontre est son premier acte public comme abbesse. Alors nous prions et nous formulons le vœu que son abbatiat soit profondément marqué par le dialogue islamo-monastique. Car on le verra bientôt, depuis quelques années, des moniales africaines rencontrent régulièrement des femmes musulmanes chiites au Kenya. Et j'espère qu'à partir de cette rencontre ici à Keur Guilaye, il y aura en Afrique de l'Ouest l'équivalent de ce qui se passe actuellement en Afrique de l'Est. Et donc vous comprenez pourquoi j'ai voulu laisser Keur Moussa pour venir ici. Je ne saurais terminer sans remercier du fond du cœur M. Chernian, le ministre des Affaires étrangères du Sénégal, et M. Kissan Joseph Assogba, ambassadeur et directeur du protocole des conférences et de la traduction, pour l'aide précieuse et efficace de la direction du protocole pour la préparation de cette rencontre. Ils ont assuré l'accueil de nos hôtes, sont en train d'assurer le service de traduction, l'accompagnement avec toute l'équipe qui est derrière, le déplacement dans les différents sites, à Touba, à Gorée et d'autres lieux. Alors merci du fond du cœur pour cet accompagnement très précieux et vraiment apprécié. Je termine en évoquant un terme qui nous est cher et qui, à mon avis, devrait concentrer nos efforts et notre désir de dialogue. Je dirais même que c'est une expression, c'est de creuser un puits. Vous voyez que notre zone est assez aride. Ce n'est pas comme au Kenya, ce n'est pas comme en Côte d'Ivoire. Nous cherchons constamment de l'eau. Et donc nous savons que l'eau a une grande importance pour nous. Or, un ami de Christian de Chergé, que nous connaissons très bien, son ami musulman Mohamed, considérait que le dialogue consistait à creuser ensemble un puits. Un jour, Christian de Chergé lui posa cette question. Et au fond de notre puits, qu'est-ce que nous allons trouver? De l'eau musulmane ou de l'eau chrétienne? Il m'a regardé, mi-rieur, mi-chagriné. Et il répondit, tout de même, il y a si longtemps que nous marchons ensemble et tu me poses encore cette question? Tu sais, au fond de ces puits-là, ce qu'on trouve, c'est l'eau de Dieu. C'est l'eau de Dieu. Alors, chers amis, durant ces jours de rencontre, apprenons ensemble à creuser des puits pour retrouver et nous rassasier, nous désaltérer, dirais-je, de l'eau de Dieu. Je vous remercie de votre aimable attention.
Before I talk, we are going to watch a short video that gives us an idea about the way this Catholic Shia dialogue started, and it covers up to round 9. Father William mentioned Abbot Timothy Wright. So the video starts with Abbot Timothy talking about the beginning, and the video ends with us visiting his grave in 2019. I hope you will find it beneficial. In Senegal, and as Father Olivier mentioned, in December 2024, when we were in South Africa, we proposed to him and invited ourselves here, and he kindly welcomed. So it was like a dream that now is a reality, thanks to God. I am sure that if we make selfless dreams, God will do his best to make them happen. Like any kind father that would make his children happy, as long as they don't want to harm themselves or others. So in this moment, at the beginning of our dialogue, we want to dream together of a world free from war and tension and hatred, a world that all children of Adam can live with dignity and peace and share together all the beautiful resources that God has granted humanity. We have more than enough to live together peacefully forever, but if there is greediness and selfishness, even if you add other planets, it will not be enough. So we pray for peace. Today for us is also an important day because it's the day of the martyrdom anniversary of our 7th Imam, who suffered a lot, especially in many years he was imprisoned by the arrogant caliph of his time, and finally he was poisoned. So we have a title for him that he is Babul Hawaj, means one of the gates for taking our request to God and hoping that he would intercede. So we would ask him to intercede for us by having no more wars and no more conflicts. And I'm very happy that we are in a land that has the reputation of dialogue, and the more I know about Senegal, the more this is confirmed. So I hope Senegal would be a place that would inspire many other nations around to be enjoying and at least trying for some time dialogue and love instead of other means of solving the problems. As Father William mentioned, we have had some great members of our dialogue that we are now suffering the loss. Abbot Timothy Wright, Father Godfroy, and Abbot Notker.
Forgot Abbot Notker.
Yeah, so he was the Abbot Primate when Diem started engaging in this dialogue, and he traveled with us many times. He was very supportive, and I hope and pray that they are with us, as you said, and we will benefit from their prayers. And I pray for the health and success of all our members who are either here or were not able to make it. They are all very dear to our hearts. The theme of our discussion this time is human fraternity and solidarity. We are going to have some exchange based on the document on human fraternity signed by the late Pope Francis and Imam of Al-Azhar, which received great response from all Muslims and Christians across denominations. It's a document that highlights our common challenges and at the same time our common resources for facing those challenges. Hopefully, God willing, inshallah, as we say, and putting all our trust in God, I will also share with you an idea that we are working on with our Focolare friends in Italy, Kenya, and Brazil. And I would like also to invite you also to help and join. And that is the idea of the school of God. And there could be nothing more relevant than the issue of the digging the well that Father Olivier mentioned. I think God put it in your mind to say it at the beginning of this, because that is the whole idea, that if we reach water, it's God's water, not Christian water or Muslim water. And so I very much looking forward to having this chance to discuss with you the idea of the School of God, which I think is a project for us. We Muslims and Christians do not meet in order to avoid conflict or war. This is too little. I don't think you say, siblings meet because they don't want to fight. We are meeting because we love each other and we miss each other when it's taking long to meet again. God knows how much I miss, for example, some of our members like Father Benoit. I miss him a lot. And when there is a family bond, you don't need any external reason to meet. You just love to meet. So for us Muslims and Christians, dialogue is not a matter of peacekeeping. For us, it's a matter of renewing our ties of brotherhood in God. If we are true Muslims and true Christians, we don't need to force ourselves for dialogue. We need to recognize the fraternity that God has created among us. we meet, hopefully, to take this into another level, and that is to invite other human beings who may not believe in Islam or Christianity, or they may not believe in God at all, to join us in our mutual love, in our mutual respect. And we want to offer a joint testimony to all people. We are more than half population of the world. But when it comes to the intellectual, spiritual impact, for sure Muslims and Christians together make more than half of the impact on the world. Many people look forward to these communities when it comes to education, when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to philosophy, even when it comes to sciences. So I hope our work together would help all human beings to see in our relation signs of true love for God. True love for God is definitely uniting. If someone has love for God but is divisive, must check himself or herself. It's impossible to have love for God and be a voice for division or tension or war. The signs of true love can be seen in loving for all human beings, in even being able to sacrifice your interests for the betterment of all humanity, and to work for unity. And our mission would not end unless in all corners of the world we see people are united. Families, communities, societies, nations, and whole humanity. That is our dream, that a day would come that when Jesus descends and our 12th Imam is given permission by God to declare his universal mission publicly, they will lead us in having this universal fraternity and peace. This is what we as Muslims believe, and this is very present in us as a Shia Muslim. But this is also what Christianity believes in, second coming of Jesus. So I hope we would make that dream, which is not only our dream, it's the dream of all the prophets and messengers, a reality by praying and by working tirelessly for that materialization. I thank all of you for being here in person, being here with open hearts and minds, being here with your generous prayers, and especially I want to extend my thanks and gratitude to our brothers and sisters in the communities of Keur Moussa and Keur Guilaye for making us feel at home. We really thank you, and I hope this would be just a beginning for many, many years of working together, and I hope there would be a chance that we would also offer you our hospitality. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Add my few thoughts to these beautiful thoughts we've heard so far. I'm Cyprian Concilio. I'm the new General Secretary for Monastic Interreligious Dialogue, a monk from California but now based in Rome as I fulfill this task. I'm here in some ways as a co-sponsor of the event, but mainly I feel like I'm coming as a guest and a student. It's my first time being involved in this encounter, and we've seen some of that history here, and of course Father William has told me so much about the story, going back to Professor Shamali's friendship with Abba Timothy and the encounters that took place after that. This past weekend, we just finished our board of directors meeting in Rome. It's the first time we've met face-to-face since I've had the role, and we don't meet very often face-to-face because we're spread out across the globe. We had very, very good discussions. One of the things I keep forgetting, it just seems so natural to me, the man who led us in our discussions is actually a Muslim from Singapore who's a professor at Oxford. And I kept forgetting, to tell people that he was a Muslim. And even in the last day, one of the monks, he's a Muslim? He just didn't even realize. But he's also a Muslim who knows the Catholic liturgical tradition almost as well as I know it. Yeah. One of the things that came up, the themes that came up, for me, I kept thinking of the word missionary. And I know that can be a really loaded word. But I do feel like those of us who are in the field doing the work of interreligious dialogue, and at this point I'm traveling about half of the year around the world, do feel a certain missionary zeal about it. But not missionary as missionary meant in the colonial times, not even missionary as it meant in the apostolic times. A very different sense of it. That was the theme that kept coming up for me. What Father William kept stressing, and I've heard it mentioned here several times as well, even going back to his predecessor, Father Pierre de Bethune, who I had the opportunity to meet just last month, he kept referring to the friendship. He kept referring to friendship. And I came away from our meeting, and even as I begin this meeting here with you, thinking, maybe that's what missionary looks like in the 21st century. What a witness this is to the whole world. I was at a brilliant gathering at Oxford, sponsored by Rabbi Alon in his Elijah Institute, that were Hindus and Sikhs, Muslims, Christians, Jews, a few others besides. And again, it was my first time being part of the meeting. And I was just kind of envious at the friendships that these people had after meeting for so many years together, and very happy to be included in that. And one of the things we came up with at the end, what can come out of this meeting for the whole world? I said, just a photo of the 25 of us enjoying each other's company. What a sign that would be to the world when there's so much division and so much breaking up into camps. I tend to like to go back to the basics quite often in almost every discipline, and I want to recall to you these 4 elements that were mentioned in the very first document that came out of the Dicastery for Interreligious Dialogue before it had that name. It was a document called Dialogue and Mission. And I've heard all of these things mentioned even already this morning. First of all, there's the dialogue of life. And then there's the dialogue of action, when people combine their efforts with other folks of different faiths for issues of social justice and social good. And then there's the dialogue of theological exchange, which I know many of us love to do, and some of what we're about here. And then finally, the dialogue of the dialogue of spiritual experience. If I understand it correctly, our organization was mainly founded for that 4th dialogue, to build experiences. And yet that dialogue is built on all those other ones. That doesn't exclude those. There's a lot of tensions, as you may know, between Muslims and Christians in the southwestern state of Kerala in India right now, and talking to some of the young monks there last year who are quite fraught about the whole thing. I kept saying, for now, don't worry about the dialogue of theological exchange. Concentrate on the dialogue of life. You are living next door to people of different faiths. At Shantivanam, our ashram in southeast India, our prior says, Our gardeners are all Hindus. Our printer is a Muslim. That's also a dialogue that goes on. And this theme of friendship really falls into all of those. The first thing is built just on that. Who is my neighbor? It was the theme Pope Francis brought up in Fratelli Tutti in Laudato Si. And it's very interesting this well image comes up because I had written this down already. I worked with a Danish missionary organization called Dan Mission, with the woman who was in charge of interreligious dialogue, mainly in India and the Holy Land. But I was meeting with another of her colleagues, and he was a missionary in Egypt. And I said, what does missionary work look like for you in Egypt right now? He said, we're digging wells. I mean, physically, we're bringing clean water to villages. And I just heaved a sigh of relief. I thought, now that's beautiful. That's missionary work, tapping into God's water for the sake of children who have no clean water. The dialogue of theological exchange, one of these themes that comes up, it's subtle, but it's there in our tradition, at least since the last 60 years. We do this not to try to turn you into a Catholic. We do exchange for mutual enrichment. I come to the dialogue feeling like I have something to learn about the divine from how you've discovered the divine, aspects that may not have been uncovered in my own tradition. Not that they're not there, but haven't been articulated. And God willing, inshallah, we can do that for you as well. Some things we've discovered in our way, in our poetry. And then finally, again, this dialogue of spiritual experience. I've found in my life it's the most intimate thing of all, actually, to be able to share prayer and meditation with other people. Two last small things. We do work with the Vatican's dicastery for interreligious dialogue. I always like to say, we work with them, we do not work for them. We're a parallel organization. But we have a good friendship, Father William especially, with Monsignor Indanil, who's been there for many years. And the new Cardinal Kuvakad, and I have established a real nice bond of trust. Last week, the Holy Father had what's called a consistory of cardinals, an extraordinary thing. He had cardinals come in from all the world to advise him on what he should do in his pontificate. And he said clearly, I'm here to listen. It was really beautiful and quite extraordinary, and people said it was a really good meeting. Cardinal Kuvakad asked me, do you have any ideas for what I could suggest to the Holy Father? And maybe this suggestion went to the Holy Father, but I wanted to read it to you too here in this context. My words for this. Out of this unfortunate misunderstanding that Pope Benedict raised in his Regensburg address in 2006. We don't have to go into that story, but if you want to hear it, we can weep about it later together. An opportune theme arose that still abides and perhaps is more urgent than ever. A year later, 138, I believe, Islamic scholars, personalities, co-signed an open letter to the Pope called A Common Word Between Us and You, taken from Surah 37, is it, of the Quran? And this has actually become a theme for my work. Let us come to a common word, aimed at promoting interfaith dialogue. In it, they wrote, these Islamic personalities, that Muslims and Christians together make up well over half of the world's population. Without peace and justice between these two religious communities, there can be no meaningful peace in the world. The future of the world depends upon peace between Muslims and Christians. What we're doing in our little way is, as Professor mentioned, is for the whole world. So my words again, we feel it is important wherever and whenever possible to stress the common ground between faith traditions and with other faith leaders, particularly when it comes to social issues that are compatible with the social teaching of the Church, based on both